It is a pleasure to welcome to the Lax Goalie Rat Podcast. It's Princeton's starting goalie, Sam Fish. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is going to be a ton of fun. I can't wait to get into your career as a lacrosse goalie and talk a little bit about the current season. But do you remember where it all started? You remember that first time you jumped into goal? I would love to hear that story.
Absolutely. So I actually started playing goalie from the very beginning. I was in second grade, and it was the second half of the first game I've ever played, and they said we need someone to hop in cage, and I did, and I have played goalie ever since. So I just had loved it and wanted to continue to get better at it.
I love it. So it's a halftime decision. Second grade is like what, 8, 9 years old?
Yeah,
that's really young. I love it. And so we're like, hey, we need someone to play goalie. Little Sam is like, hey, I'm in.
Yep. And my brothers loved it because I have two older brothers and they were attackers. So after that, they loved shooting on me. So it just naturally flowed from there.
Oh, of course they would love that, right? I would think that they would be trying to throw you into the goal from an earlier age if they played lacrosse, and that's usually one of the main reasons why people become lacrosse goalies, because you have that older brother, that older sister is like, hey, I need somebody to shoot on. Sam, get in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much like that. I think that's why I was a little bit more open to it when at halftime they said that. So
yeah. So in that very first game, did you make some saves? Were you hooked from that point on, or was it like one of those things where like, I don't know about getting the balls thrown at me?
I think I made a few saves, and my coach was a goalie in college, so he was really excited, and he really was like, I think you have potential here. So from there, he kind of pushed that, and I really loved it.
Nice. So he was a goalie in college. So did he kind of show you the ropes of like, this is how you stand, this is how you hold the stick, or how did you go about then from that young age learning how to make saves?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny. Sophia LaRose and I were both coached by this goalie coach, Joe Brown, and he taught us both everything we know from the very start. He taught us hand placement, positioning, everything, and he would just coach us along the way. And even when we'd be in normal game or in games and everything, he would make special efforts to kind of coach us throughout the game. So that's kind of how both of us really developed a lot of our skills from that young age.
Awesome. That's awesome. We were talking before we hit record. Sophia LaRose, a sponsored athlete, and you guys, San Diego goalies, which is a very small community, I imagine, huh? Yeah,
Absolutely.
What is the lacrosse scene like in San Diego, if you had to describe it?
I think it's definitely very up and coming. When I was younger, it wasn't, especially like second grade, it wasn't really big. And then as I was getting into high school, middle school, it definitely started increasing. I would say now it's gotten pretty big, and a lot of the West Coast teams are really starting to rival a lot of the East Coast teams. So it's really fun to see. And I know a lot of the times that when I was younger on travel club teams, we go out east for tournaments, but now there's a lot of big West Coast tournaments. So it's really cool to see that progress.
It is really cool to see. And as a California kid myself, it's just awesome to see the sport grow on the West Coast. Like, I'm 41. So like, back when I went to high school, we didn't have a lacrosse team, but now, all the teams in my city in Santa Rosa have lacrosse teams, right? And lacrosse clubs are popping up. So it's just awesome to see the growth, especially because we always had the athletes, right? But, they play soccer or volleyball or what have you. I'm curious, what other sports did you play growing up?
So I actually played soccer as well. And soccer was a winter sport, so I was able to play that during the winter time. And then in high school, I also played volleyball throughout my high school career. So I played soccer, lacrosse, and volleyball all throughout high school.
Yeah. And are there things you learned in soccer or volleyball that you would say translated, that made you a better lacrosse goalie?
I would say for soccer, I actually was a midi, so I think kind of learning some like the explosiveness and things there, I think that really helped. And um, especially when I was younger, I was a lot more of an active goalie, and I think that translated to that. I guess volleyball with jumping and everything, that's also explosiveness,
Yeah,
but
it's true.
I would say mostly soccer. So,
Yeah, but like that jumping, like to explode up to block
mhm,
a ball or spike a ball, right? It's kind of the same idea of making a save, especially within the hips, right? Like boom, you're
mhm,
exploding to the shot. So I could see a lot of the same movements
absolutely.
in that. What
Absolutely.
is your favorite thing about being a lacrosse goalie?
I think my favorite thing is kind of the impact that we can make in the cage just by doing our job and doing it well. So I always say that, I want to just give my defense the best opportunities of like they're helping me out by forcing shooters wide and giving me the best angle on shots. I want to help them in return of just making the saves that I know it can make. So I think in that regard, like the goal, I think most college teams are starting to realize how important goalies are. And I think we can make a big difference in the game.
Yeah, incredible difference in the game, right? I mean,
Hmm.
if they have a star attackman, you double team them. You can kind of like take them out
Hmm.
of the game. If you've got a great
Hmm.
goalie, there's no getting around that, right? I mean,
Hmm.
if a goalie's on, they can really take over the game, and that's what I love so much about this position as well.
Absolutely.
What about when you're getting started at goalie, 8, 9 years old? A lot of
Mhm.
times goalies at that age, and even like I started playing in college, so like goalies at 18 scared of the ball, right? It's just not
Mhm.
natural to have this thing fired at you. You're wearing
Mhm.
very minimal padding. I'm curious, is that something that you went through, or what were some early sticking points for you?
So I don't remember actually experiencing that when I was little, but I remember there was a point in high school where I was super afraid of the ball and I just wasn't stepping to the ball. And then naturally I was getting hit more with the ball because I was afraid of it. And so I just remember doing drills where you actually throw like lacrosse balls at your helmet and you're trying to, the coach will say like a different color and you're only supposed to catch two of, the colors that they say. And so just by having them throw the balls at my helmet, I desensitized myself to the ball coming at me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really helpful. But I mean, now even there's still times where me and my goalie on my other goalie on my team, Tia, we always joke that some days we're scared of the ball. I think it's not always going to be a time where you love I don't think anyone really loves getting hit, so,
Mm-hmm.
um, there's definitely those days you just kinda have to work through it and reset your mind towards attacking the ball.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you do on those days? What do you do on those days? Because even you're right, like when you've overcome that problem, and you're like, all right, I'm not scared of the ball, I can attack it.
Mhm.
It's like one of those things where like every once in a while you have an off day, right?
Mhm.
And it's back, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden you're like, oh man, like I'm not exploding to the ball, I'm not attacking it. Like
Mhm.
it's and then you ironically, like you said, you end up getting hit more
Mhm.
on those days. But so what do you do? What do you do when you have those days?
Um, it's funny, actually, yesterday was one of those days for, Tia and I, our other goalie, and we actually had a big shooting drill, so we threw sweatpants on because we were like, "You know what? It's just one more protection against the ball. This will let us, like, move towards the ball, and if we get hit, it's gonna sting just a little bit less." So, I think just kind of refocusing of, like, resetting your mind that you're gonna move towards the ball and like if they hit me, they hit me. It's great. Like, it's not gonna be fun, but you'll get through it.
Yeah, that's what I recommend too. I mean, get padded up in those situations,
Mhm.
right? When you were starting out, I imagine like they shin guards, thigh
Mhm.
pads. Do you still use
Yep.
those today, or when did you sort of what was the evolution of your pads?
So I actually don't use thigh pads or shin guards today, but in high school I think we had to wear those, so we would wear them. I don't wear them for the reason that I think it's more helpful for me to when I'm coming out of the cage, but I definitely see the value in having those if especially like on days if you feel like you are getting hit with the ball or you're a little bit scared of the ball.
Yeah. And the sweatpants too. I was a big sweatpants goalie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that extra little, half inch
Inch.
of half inch of cotton that
I see.
can take the sting out of some of those shots.
Absolutely.
And Sam, let's be honest, they look good. They're the sweatpants tucked into the socks. You go with that look?
Yep,
Yeah.
I do. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely on the East Coast when it's really cold.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. How was that, by the way? Because I'm from California. I played one snow game. We went to BYU in Utah, right?
Hmm.
And played
Hmm.
one snow game. I imagine there's a lot of different things coming East Coast, West Coast, but weather is one of them, right? So how was it for
Hmm.
you playing cold lacrosse?
It was definitely an adjustment. I would say I was not used to the ball actually being some days it'll be so cold out that the ball is actually frozen. So those days definitely hurt a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
Um, but all the older goalies on the team when I first got there, they helped me out with different tricks of the trade, like wearing medical gloves under your regular gloves so that your hands stay warm, putting the foot warmers, hand warmers, everything in, just kind of trying to keep your body warm so that you can continue moving and it's gonna sting a little bit less if the ball hits you. So definitely learning all those tricks of the trade was really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot about the ball getting frozen and heavier. And that thing probably leaves a lot heavier bruises when you get hit with a frozen ball, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. There was even one game when we had or a scrimmage this year. It was a complete blizzard outside, and I had never played in actual full-on snow before, and it was so hard to see the ball. I was so thankful that in girls lacrosse we use a yellow ball instead of a white ball because I was like, I don't know if I was a guys goalie right now how I would see this white ball in all of this snow. So
Yeah.
definitely thankful for the yellow ball in that regard.
Yeah. You can actually do that in the guys game too. If it's a snow game, you can request a colored ball. So
Oh
um,
wow.
throwing tips out there left and right. That's what this show's all about,
Yeah.
Sam.
Yep.
Awesome. So at what point, you're playing soccer, you're playing volleyball, you're playing lacrosse, three sport athlete. At what point did you make the decision, hey, I'm going to go all in on lacrosse?
I think lacrosse was always the sport that kind of stood out in my mind. I mean, I guess I started soccer younger than lacrosse, but um I think that was a sport I really just truly enjoyed playing, and I felt that I could get better and better at it. I think for soccer and volleyball, I knew that there was like a point I'd reach where, I don't know if I was going to get better or like my heart just wasn't in it. And I just truly loved lacrosse.
Yeah. Yeah. Lacrosse is amazing, huh?
Hmm.
I played so many sports growing up too, like soccer, tennis, a lot of basketball. And
Hmm.
then once I played lacrosse, it was like, it's just, camaraderie and, individual talent combined with this team strategy and just so much fun.
Hmm.
I loved it too. Now,
Absolutely.
did you play in the field as lacrosse as well? Or was it goalie all the way at a certain point?
For me, I actually never really played in the field. It was goalie my whole career, except for like
Yeah.
sometimes, like if we were at a tournament or something and it was one of the last games, maybe I would take the draw or something like that. But
Yeah.
it was mostly lacrosse, or I mean, mostly goalie
Goalie.
for
Yeah.
me.
Interesting. Because a lot of, college goalies and even pro goalies have a story of like, yeah, right when they started, it was a little bit of field, a little bit of goalie. And
Hmm.
it's awesome to hear that you were goalie right away, goalie from the
Hmm.
get-go.
Absolutely.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. So tell me a little bit about, your recruiting process, your high school experience, and then kind of,
Hmm.
when did you kind of realize, hey, I'm pretty good at making saves. Maybe I could play this at the next level.
Hmm. So I actually, I was part of the era of like earlier recruiting and everything. So I ended up
Mm-hmm.
committing my spring of my sophomore year. And I originally, like when I was in eighth grade, seventh grade, I thought I was going to go play club lacrosse at some school. Like I didn't think I was good enough to play in Division 1, Division 2, or anything like that. And so I was just so excited to even like see college coaches, and I thought I was going to play club lacrosse at UCLA or whatever. That was like my goal and everything. And then freshman year, sophomore year, my coach was actually a strong supporter of, like, I think you have a really good chance of playing Division 1. And he was really big on, play your best, and I'll talk to coaches and kind of see. And my coach loves to tell this story, but so she came out to a West Coast tournament called Sandstorm. I think they still have it, but she saw me there, and I think I was in 8th grade, and I didn't know the recruiting rules at that time, but I had actually walked up to her and introduced myself. And she said, "I can't talk to you right now, but I know who you are," or something like that. And she said she had never forgotten that. Throughout the entire recruiting process, she was like, "I remember when you were a little 8th grader and you came up to me." And so my sophomore year, when I finally committed, it was so awesome of just, everything finally coming together, and finally coming to a great school like Princeton. So
yeah, that's amazing. I can just in my head envision little Sam walking up there, and she's like, "I can't talk to you right now, but great job."
yeah, exactly.
That's pretty funny. What do you say? There's a lot of goalies out there right now. Seasons, for some of them, the season's getting going. Like maybe they're doing tryouts. Like you've gone through that big, that, like, whether it's playing at a tournament or a tryout or something like that, just, a lot of eyes on you, a lot of pressure, a lot of nerves. What do you say to young goalies who are in that situation?
I think for me, the biggest thing is learn to love the pressure. I think I actually now love being in games where it's really tight, and having that pressure on me, I think I actually play better sometimes. And I think with, like, if you're at a recruiting tournament, you have all the coaches on the sidelines. I think just really focusing on the basics of like seeing the ball and just, getting your hand there and stepping there. And I think going back to the basics in those times, it helps you kind of block out anything that's happening on the sidelines, or whatever the pressure is on the game, or just, just having that confidence that you're a great goalie and you can make any save. So
yeah, I had someone on the podcast, and they said, I think it was a Virginia goalie, said pressure is a privilege. And it's really like it's a mindset switch that you have, that a lot of young goalies need, which is like, yeah, let's embrace the pressure. Cause it's something I've talked about with a lot of goalies on this podcast, is like, you in order to have, the opportunity, you have to have the pressure. Like a lot of goalies want this opportunity to be great, but then they don't want the pressure. And doesn't work like that. It's a package deal, right? Like, so embrace that. And I love what you said there. So yeah, you then commit to Princeton your sophomore year, which is pretty early. I mean, that now the rules have changed. Like you have to do it your junior year. But at that point, was it like, what was your feeling? Was it like, was it like a relief? Was it like excitement? How did you stay motivated for those final 3 years of high school?
Yeah, I think that for me, it was really excitement, and I think definitely a little bit of relief of, I know where I'm going. But I think at that point, I kind of flipped the switch of, okay, well, I'm playing well out here, but I know that East Coast at a top D1 schools, the shooter are going to be amazing. So I think it was really, for me, like putting in that extra work to get in that, like, up my game to the level of where I would come in freshman year, and I would be a contender for the position. And, I wasn't getting shot on left and right by shooters or scored on left and right by shooters who were just amazing. So that was really my goal, was to just up my game at that point and be ready.
Yeah. And how did you do that? I mean, I imagine, even the best shooters in San Diego, high school girls in San Diego, I mean, they can't, let's be honest, they can't shoot as hard as the best girls on Princeton's team. So how did you go about doing exactly what you just said, leveling up your game so that you were ready for college level shots?
So I worked a lot on my hand speed, and one of the biggest things that I did that I think has still helped me is juggling. I think like I juggle every day, and just to continue to get better at that, because I think that has helped me increase my hand speed so much, and that was a big factor in kind of raising my play to that level of shots. But then also I would pull the best girls on my team and the girls from my club team, and I would just have them shoot on me all the time. And I would also have my dad do goalie drills with me. So
all right, Mr. Fish is out there, and you were telling me he's a big Lax Goalie Rat fan.
He is. He was really excited when I told him I was coming on the podcast, because I was just joking earlier that my dad would send me articles from the Lax Goalie Rat all the time, and he would say, I think you should give this a read. He makes some great points here. And I would read it through and I'd say, this is exactly what I needed help on. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Shout out Mr. Fish. Thank you. Thank you for spreading the word. I love it. Now, was your dad an athlete as well? I think I read that somewhere.
Yes, he actually played football in college. He played up in Vermont at Norwich. So
awesome. All right. So the fish household, you got a couple of brothers who are lacrosse players, and just a household of athletes.
Yes.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Love it. How do you describe your style of goalie play? A lot of different styles out there. A lot of goalies have success with different styles. You're a little on the taller side for a woman, for a female goalie. How do you describe, your style of play?
I would say that I kind of have maybe a shallower arc, maybe like a mid-range arc. And then I also I think I play a little bit outside the cage, but I've definitely decreased that play outside the cage in recent years, especially as my defenders got better. I didn't really need to go outside the cage. And I think also just, for stepping wise, I'm more of laterally, I would say in between a 45 and a lateral step in that regard.
Awesome. Has it always been that way, or is that something that kind of evolved as the shot started getting harder and harder?
I think I started out like with 45-degree angles, but then as the shots get faster and faster, I definitely went more laterally, because I think you're just not going to get there in time sometimes. So at least for me, it was really helpful to kind of make that step a little bit more lateral.
That's what I've seen quite a bit in, a goalie's progression. And that's kind of how I coach as well. It's like when I'm coaching youth or talking to youth, like I always recommend you start on that 45, because one, they're typically a lot smaller. And so you really do need to come out a little bit and cut down that angle so you can reach a shot, right? Later on, when you're whatever, 5'9", 5'10", up to 6 foot, you can still step laterally and reach the corner. But when you're 8 years old and you're 5 foot, like it's tough. So that's how I coach as well. Awesome. What would you say is something that is a challenge for you right now in terms of the lacrosse goalie position?
I think for me right now, it's about being consistent. I think there's times we'll have really great games, and there's other days where it's not my best. So I think kind of finding that consistency so that my defense knows that they can depend on me. And I think with that, it's just been trying to get more reps and find that balance of that mental headspace of, how was I feeling my really good games, and how can I translate that to my games where I'm feeling a little bit off?
Yeah. That was something that I struggled with incredibly in college is consistency. Like you never knew what Damon was coming out there. Sometimes I would just be like totally on fire. And then other days, yeah, you're just not seeing it. You're not picking it up and you're letting in balls that you can save. So consistency. And then you mentioned something there about what was it like reliving the good moments or like getting back into that headspace of when you're making a lot of saves. How do you do that? Is it do you watch tape? Do you journal? How do you go about doing that?
For me, I think I've been trying to find like what are some of the factors of like my pregame activity or my warm up or anything like that, or how I'm feeling going into the game. What are the differences between games where I feel like it's a great game for me or games where it's not necessarily my best game, and trying to find, what are some of the things that might be contributing to where I'm feeling off that day.
What have you found?
I think sleep is definitely a really big factor, I would say. I think definitely trying to keep that calmness, like before entering the locker room to change, during the locker room, and then when you get out for warm up, like, like let yourself get elevated to the game level, but still maintain that calmness until you get in the game itself so that you're not losing your energy by halftime.
I think I like about that too is it's so different between each goalie. I mean, what works for you, Sam, might be very different than what works for another goalie. I mean, I know some goalies that are, joking around pregame, right? Just staying loose, joking around. I know some goalies that are really like pumping up the team. I know some goalies that are totally quiet, right? Like that's the way they get focused, is not interact. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that you've learned what works for you. And it's not to say like I said, for the youth goalies listening, it's not to say you have to replicate what Sam's doing, but hey, if it works, then yeah, absolutely replicate it.
Absolutely. Definitely find what works best for you. I think, like you were saying, I've met so many different goalies who have so many different types of pregame rituals and everything that work great for them. So,
yeah. What, talking about pregame rituals, we're recording this March 17th. You guys are 5-0. Way to go. Top 10, top 10, right?
Top 10, depending on the list, but
yeah. Let's go. So pregame rituals, you're going into a big game. Walk me through it.
So if it's a home game, we'll usually have our team meal with everyone, and it's good to hang out with the team. And then I'll usually walk up and grab a coffee with some of the girls on my team. But then it's funny, they kind of joke with me because I actually will not walk with anyone down to the locker room, because that's my time to kind of get mentally prepared and maybe do some visualization of the shots and everything and get in the right mindset for the game. And then when I enter the locker room, it's, that's the time to be with the team and with all of our pregame dances and everything and everyone getting hyped up. And then after that, we walk over to the field and it's time to warm up. And I just go through my warm up of different drills of just trying to get my hands ready and I'll juggle a little bit just to get my focus ready and everything like that. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then what does the warm up look like? So you're doing a little bit of juggling, getting the hands and the eyes going, which is great. Highly recommend that. Highly recommend that. I know a lot of goalies, great elite goalies that do that. And then shots. I mean, just a bunch of shots, or kind of walk me through that if you could.
So I start by getting super stretched out. I think that's really, really helpful, especially for getting the low saves. So I just really make sure my legs are feeling good. And then I hop in cage. I use a small stick, and I'll have my coach warm me up high and then mid, and then I'll move into actually this drill that I call the pipe drill, where I'll stand on one side of the pipe and I'll have my coach shoot to the opposite pipe. And I'm just focusing on getting my hand across and exploding to the ball. And then I'll go to the other side for that one. And then I actually do a drill where I squat down low and I might put my hands on the ground with my small stick, and I have my coach shoot anywhere high, and I'll explode my hands up and try to get to the ball. And then I'll do the reverse of that where my hands start over my head, and I'll have my coach shoot anywhere low and I'll drop down for those. And then the next one I go through, I'll put my hand at my hip and I'll have my coach shoot my top left side, and I'll explode my hand across my body up. You'll
put your top hand's kind of on your hip, like low.
Yes.
Yeah. So and then just working on getting
like getting across. Yep. So putting my hands in uncomfortable places of like unnatural, and trying to just really focus on like driving my hand to the ball. And then I'll do that same thing, but the opposite side. So I'll actually I'm a righty, so I'll take my stick and I'll move it on this side and I'll have them shoot to the right side, and I'll just pop my hand over. And then after that, I'll have my coach go across the 8 shooting all different levels. And then if we have time after that, I'll actually face the back of the cage and I'll have my coach yell shot, and I'll turn around really quick and save it from anywhere.
Yeah. Love that one. All right. That's great. I'm feeling warm after going through that. Right. Then get some water, get a couple deep breaths, and it's game time.
Yep.
Yeah. I just posted a reel today of Eric Peters, the men's goalie at Princeton, doing a little pregame dancing. Are you a dancer? You like to stay loose in there?
I actually am probably not, but I definitely love to joke around with some of my defenders and everything. And definitely after like attack scores a goal, like running up to my defense and everyone hyping each other up. So I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a dancer or anything like that, but I definitely try to like keep my legs loose and everything while the ball's at the other end.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big proponent, not just because I think it looks cool, but like, I mean, you really, there's something to be said about being so comfortable and loose that you can just, you can just not even dancing, just like moving around a little bit. You know what I mean? So
I actually, Megan Taylor, I think, did an interview one time, and she said that she will sing like show tunes or something like that. So I've actually tried to sometimes like try and implement that, because I think it is really helpful to stay loose and everything. So I've always loved to see other goalies do that, and I've definitely tried to implement that and stay loose. But
yeah, what are you singing? What do we got?
I mean, I don't have any go-tos or anything. I think it's, if attack scores, they have their goal songs or everything like that. So
I love it. That's awesome. So you enter into Princeton 2018 as a freshman, end up earning the starting role your freshman year. How was that for you? A lot of times, as a young goalie, it's a lot of pressure as a freshman, right? To be the starting goalie. And I'm curious how, your experience was as a freshman.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was something that I've been working towards. The first few games I was not the starter, and I was just trying to work every practice to be that starter and give the coaches no reason not to play me, and just play my best game possible. And then when I finally did get the starting position, I was just focusing on every shot. It didn't matter what the game was, it didn't matter what the situation was. It's just focusing on each shot itself and making sure I could make the best play on each one.
Yeah, it's great attitude. Yeah. And then you end up earning that freshman year, second team all Ivy League. Next year, hello, Ivy League goalie of the year. What's up? Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Anything that you did differently going into that year, or do you feel like it's just the accumulation of all the work that you've put in?
So a lot of times in college, they'll actually talk about, like, if a freshman has a really good year, they'll talk about the sophomore slump. A lot of coaches will talk about it. And for me, that was a big mindset of, I want to go in and make this year better than my last year and just continue to build off of that. I definitely didn't want to fall into the sophomore slump. So just kind of putting in the work, especially in the fall, to try and, just show up better than I did last time.
Yeah. What does putting in the work mean? Is that shots? Is that drills? Like, how do you like to get better?
I really love taking out some of the best shooters on our team and just getting an extra shots. So like, for example, on my team, Kyla Sears is in my grade and she's one of the best attackers in the nation. And I figure, if I can save her shots and if I'm seeing her shots on a daily basis, I'm going to be in a pretty good place against other teams. So just trying to take your best shooters on your team and have them not only go through the shots that they want to do, but also take that time and have them go through goalie drills with you and pick out the different ones that you need to work on.
What any goalie drills come to mind for you that you really like?
I think the ones I do in my warm up, I actually try to do those almost every day. I think
Nice.
those are just really helpful ones to, like get your hand faster. And my two big points for myself is, punch my hand to the ball and explode to the ball. And I think those drills really help me get to those points.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. So 2020 comes around, right? A little thing called COVID hits. And I'm curious how it was for you. For a lot of players, a lot of lacrosse players, a lot of people out there in general, it's very tough. It's very tough. But you're a couple games into the season and what happens?
So it was crazy. So we're like 5 games in and we played Stony Brook and we did not have a great game against Stony Brook, especially not a great first half. I think we let in 6 goals in the first 6 minutes of the game. So definitely a tough game, but we slowly came back. But we ended up losing that game. And then that next week, everything with COVID hit. And actually the Ivy Leagues were the first teams or first league to shut everything down. So it was definitely a lot of tears, definitely a lot of what ifs. And we're really close to the guys team here at Princeton. And we were all just spending a ton of time together, just really upset about the season and everything. But then a couple days later, everyone else started canceling their games and everything. So I think it was a lot of, what's going to happen? Will we get this year back? Everything like that. And so then flash forward to the middle of summer, the Ivy League actually doesn't allow grad students to play sports in college. So we knew none of us were going to be able to stay on at our school as a grad student. And we were hearing rumors that we could potentially take a year off and come back. And that actually ended up being the case. So it's funny, my entire senior class, or I guess my year, ended up taking a gap year on my team, and a bunch of other girls in the different grades also took a gap year. And then on the guys team, same thing. And so that was awesome. We had this year off. Like it wasn't great to be away from school, but we just made the most of the year. We actually ended up going to Park City with the men's lacrosse team and my team, of all the people that took a gap year. So it was really cool to be out there and be able to play lacrosse. And we actually played lacrosse with both guys and girls a few times. So that was really cool to do. And then in the spring, my senior class, we went to Nashville and stayed there for a month. So it was really cool to kind of take that time away from school and just spend it with my teammates and everything. And then come back this year with, the mindset of this is our last year, last chance to do something. So
yeah, interesting. I didn't know you took that gap year. That's a cool story. So take a little, I I think that's a great idea if you can do it, right? I mean, you get more life experience, and it sounds like you guys all went out to Park City, which is beautiful. I spent some time there. I went to Sundance 1 year, and anyway, so that's awesome. Awesome. You skipped over then the 2021 season, where, which I got to imagine is kind of tough for you as an Ivy League student. Lacrosse comes back, right? But the Ivy Leagues do not. And I'm curious how that was for you. Did thoughts ever go through your mind of, hey, I'm actually going to transfer to another school?
So that was the year that we actually took the gap year. So it was definitely tough watching college lacrosse come back on and not seeing Ivy League presence. So that's why coming in this year, we were so excited to kind of show everybody, who they forgot about, the Ivy League's back. And it definitely was a tough year just to not be playing lacrosse in college, and seeing all the other teams getting to play together and everything. So I think it just helped us, work harder in the off season or off year and come back.
Now, so you come back then this year, right? And a lot of times it sounds like you were maybe around the game a little bit. So maybe this question is not as relevant, but a lot of times when goalies take an extended period of time off, it kind of goes back to that thing we talked about at the very beginning, where you got to kind of build up that muscle. You got to build up that muscle memory again, and you're scared of the shots. Did you, after all that time of not playing with the team, did you experience that?
I absolutely did experience that coming into the fall, especially after the summer and the year off of, like there were periods where I was with my teammates, so they were able to shoot on me. But coming from summer where most of my friends who played lacrosse in college actually graduated, so they were done playing lacrosse or they weren't home. So I actually didn't really have any shooters back home for the most part. So coming in the fall and having all of the shooters shooting, it definitely was a learning curve of, I'm not playing my best right now. I need to get a lot more reps. But the good news was that it was kind of the same for all of us on our team. We were all in the same boat of we had taken the year off. So, it was all a learning curve for us as well. So we were just trying to make that learning curve as short as possible and, find ways to speed up getting back into it.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Well, you guys are back into it. Like we said, 5-0, top 10. Who do you got coming up this Saturday?
We play at Penn State, so it's a big game. We're really excited for it. We're about to do scout days today and tomorrow, so everyone's just pumped to, be back out here playing big games on the East Coast.
Love it. Love it. What's a scout day for you? It's kind of like, Penn State likes to take these type of shots. Let me do a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more work, a little bit more reps on these types of shots. Do I got that right?
Yeah, exactly. So just trying to see what they like to run on their offense, whether they're a driving team or they're more of a assist team, and trying to, tailor my gameplay to that this week. So just kind of getting those reps of if they're going to do bomb dodges, I'm ready for those, or if they're going to pass it to the inside, I'm getting that quick turnaround or focusing on small parts of the game like that.
Yeah, love it. We're kind of bouncing all around a little bit, but I love it. I love it. Who are some of the goalies that, when you were growing up that you learned from, or maybe you still kind of look up to this day?
I think Devin Wills is really a big one, especially when I was younger, growing up and seeing her play on the US team and everything. She was definitely more of an active goalie, and so was I. So it was really cool to kind of see her, and then actually going through the recruiting process, getting to meet her and everything. And now she's a coach at Harvard, so she's been great throughout her career. But she was definitely someone I really enjoyed watching and learning from a little bit. And then I think in general, I just loved actually watching, I would watch a lot of guys lacrosse
Mhm.
because um, sometimes I get the comment that I play more like a guy's goalie, which I think that's a compliment. And I really love a lot of the techniques the guys goalies use, and I think a lot of the girls goalies are starting to use those as well. So I think that was kind of who I would watch and who I'd looked up to.
What goalies?
There wasn't any goalies in particular.
Okay.
I did just watch a lot of college D1 lacrosse.
Got
So
it. Yeah, got it. Me too. I love watching goalies. It's
yeah.
what I do for a living, and it's as cool as it sounds. So awesome. Yeah, and to your point, I teach technique wise, I teach girls and guys the exact same way.
Mhm.
Coach them the
Mhm.
exact same way. I don't think there's difference technique wise. Now, the shots that they see are very different. Right? I mean, the stick, the
Mhm.
stick, the way they shoot, like where the shots are. I mean, girls get shots inside the 8 meter, right? A lot, like
Mhm.
most of the shots from guys are outside shots, occasional inside shot. But anyway,
Mhm.
in terms of like how I attack the ball, I don't think there's a difference between guys and girls. It sounds like you
I
agree.
don't think so either.
All right. All right. Um, awesome. What about a time that you went through a slump? Does anything come to mind? And how'd you go about getting out of that?
Um, Honestly, for me, like these past few games that I've played, like I haven't felt at my best. And, I think I've just been trying to get more reps and trying to get back to the basics of, just getting my hand to the ball, exploding to the ball, and um, just trying to stay calm and caged. I think a lot of times it's easy to get pretty frustrated if you've let a lot of goals in and things like that. So I think this week, like especially, I'm just trying to focus on like getting back to the basics and why I love lacrosse and playing calm in the cage and just letting my hand go to the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of ties in a lot to the mindset. Like when you're going through a slump, a lot of it is mindset, but some of it could be
Mhm.
technical. You could be hurt. You could be not. You could be out of
Mhm.
sorts. But a lot of it is mindset. And
Mhm.
I'm curious. When I say the word mental toughness, like what comes
Mhm.
to mind for you, and how do you go about like building that?
Um, so my goalie at Princeton, my other teammate, Tia, we always talk about being a goldfish because goldfish, I think, have 3-second memories.
Mm-hmm.
So just really focusing on, once that shot gets scored, you're going on to the next play. And on our defense, we really focus on that like next play mentality of taking each play of like we're taking the game play by play and just refocusing on like going back to those basics of just really locking in on the head of the stick. And then once you're doing that, sending your hand to the ball. And then once you're getting that as well, you stepping to the ball and exploding to the ball. So adding those pieces back in one by one.
Yeah. Breaking it down to its core and then building it back up. Love that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And next play mentality. I mean, this is going to be podcast 140 something. And I mean, 130 something goalies have said next play mentality because it's true. It's so true,
Absolutely.
right? You got to move on. You got to have the ability to put that bad play behind you and move on. Because guess what? Like, next shot's coming right at you, and if you're still thinking about that
Mhm.
last one, then you're not going to be able to get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. I wanted to ask about the goalie situation at Princeton. So you mentioned Tia a couple other times. You only have one other
Mhm.
goalie, which is pretty
Yes.
rare for like a D1 program. Is that just a result of the COVID years, or why do you only have two goalies?
We actually had another goalie, but she ended up quitting and just because her heart wasn't in it.
Mm-hmm.
But my coach actually loves carrying a small roster of goalies. Um, just because her kind of mindset is, you get more reps and you get to see the ball more. Like, yes, it is a
Yeah.
risk if someone gets hurt, but um, I've actually, I love having 2 to 3 goalies. I think it's really helpful you get to learn from the other person, but also like you do get a ton of reps. And I think that's really helpful in playing.
It's a great point. That's a great point. I played at Cal. We just had 2 goalies, right? And so yeah, like when you're doing team drills, it's a lot of reps. It's a lot of reps because you don't have to spread those reps around for. I mean, some teams have 5 goalies. I think the University of Denver men's team's got 6 goalies. So like, it's that's spreading the reps pretty thin. And if you're in that situation, like you absolutely have to get shots after practice because you're just not getting enough reps. But you only have two goalies, right? Like you're probably pretty pooped after a practice.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Talk to me about your relationship with Tia.
Tia and I have a great relationship. We love to joke around in the cage and like, if one of us is getting a ton of coaching that day, the other one is just hyping them up and, just being their support there. And I love having her there because I think we learn so much from each other. Like she will take things from me and like I'll take so many things from her. So it's really good just to have that other goalie there and person there just to share that experience because I think the goalie position is very different than any of the other ones on the field. So having someone who understands that.
Yeah, it's always an interesting dynamic between goalies because only one plays, right? And like, while you are very close, or I mean, not everyone is, but most goalies are. Like, we're kind of a unique breed. Like, what, you're pushing each other, right? So like, you're both going for that starting job, but at the end of the day, like, you're friends. And it's this friendly competition, but probably when at certain points it's probably not. Right. I'm sure you get pretty competitive at certain points. Yeah
I think just like for me, I think I try to focus on like if she's having a great day, like good on her. Like I just have to step my game up, and I think trying to like putting that focus back on myself of, like she's having a day, like great, good for her. Like, like I just need to work on improving my game and trying to not really compare the two. Cause I think it's, different shooters are shooting different shots. So you never know.
Love it. Sam, I got some video of the Cornell game. Could I share that and ask you a couple questions about some saves?
Absolutely.
All right. Now I know you haven't seen this, so we're going off I just made it this morning. All right. Yeah, here we go. This is a great game, by the way. People are going to love this save edit when it comes out. So first of all, why do you go with number 12?
That's just a number I've always loved. I think my brothers were number 12 in high school and everything. So I think I kind of took that from them and carried it on, I guess.
All right. Love it. There's a little dance. Hey.
Yeah.
There we go. Hold on. Let me play this.
To a strong start so far this year, sporting a 5.
All right.
33 save percent.
See, you do get a little move, pregame move going on there.
Yeah.
All right. First play I want to take a look at right here is actually a free position shot. And talk to me about this. It might be the camera angle, but it definitely looks like you're baiting her stick side.
I think so. That was definitely unintentional. I think I'm just a little bit off on my angle. But yeah, I think on this hash, especially on 8 meters, I try to split the hash between my feet. And that's how I try to line up.
Yeah. And arc wise, I mean, I have you ever played like higher? I mean, this is great positioning right here. And like, I mean, you see some of the men's goalies actually play like real deep in the goal. I'm curious, is there a certain situation where you might come out? Talk to me about your arc play. So
I stay pretty shallow on my arc unless if a girl is coming and she had beaten a defender, I'll actually come out and try to match sticks with her and come out at that point. But usually I try to stay on that lower arc.
Yep. And this play, she doesn't want it. You're too intimidating in your stance. She doesn't want it. She passes it. But then this girl drives right down Broadway. And what's going through your mind right here? Like, you know, this is a very tough contested shot. You got two defenders. I got to be honest. I need to sit down and watch more women's lacrosse with someone who knows the rules. Cause I'm not like, they can't like step in front of her, right? They cannot. Yeah.
No, I mean, they could, but sometimes it might get called as a foul.
But is it kind of like, is it kind of like basketball where like, if I get there first and I'm set, I can take a charge?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Anyway, talk to me about this save, if you could.
So on this one, I see her stick come up really high, and usually when the shooters are going really high with their stick, they're actually probably going to bring it down low. So I'm just kind of ready watching, and I'm ready to snap low on this one. And I think maybe I had seen in film that this girl had liked to shoot low or something like that.
Yep. And she shoots it low and bam, you're right on it. It might have caught you in the bike. You can't really see, there's some melee in front, but it might've been a body save, but you're right there. When you think about the clearing game now, so you pick it up, it's clearing game time. A lot of young girls, goalies, you know, they talk to me about like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do when I make the save, right? Like they almost talk about this sense of panic. How do you approach the clearing game?
So I actually love when I have the ball in my stick, because I feel like it's a chance to kind of control the pace of the game. And I'm so thankful because my defenders are amazing and they catch almost any ball. So I know that I just need to get the ball out to them, and they're gonna have that catch, and they're gonna be able to run it downfield. So I think just making a good pass on that and taking my time with it.
That's the key for me. That's what I always tell, take your time, right? Like, especially in the women's game where you got 10 seconds inside the crease. I mean, you could take 3 deep breaths and still have the same amount of time that the men have, 4 seconds. So anyway, so like you could see how patient you are, and everyone runs away. So like now there's no reason for you to panic. I mean, just be calm, right? And you can see, you kind of casually walk it up and bam, there's somebody open. Simple, clear. All right, let's check out this save.
On the grit.
Cornell, second possession. Into the middle, Fish had a little trouble. It handcuffed her a bit, but she did make the stop and then swallowed up the rebound.
Yeah. So talk to me through this save. Do you remember these saves, by the way? I mean, the game wasn't that long ago.
I do. Yeah, I do remember these.
Yeah.
So this one, I was really happy. I got my body behind the ball because, you know, my hands weren't the ones saving this. So I was just so happy to get that step and have my body be there and be able to pick it up after that.
Yeah, this is a positioning save, right? I mean, you're right smack in the middle of the goal. She shoots it. Like maybe you don't get the best read on it. Maybe it hits you in the chest pad or in the hip.
Yeah, I think it's chest.
Chest, yeah. Boom. Get the save. Clamp the rebound. Patience. Walk it up. There you go. The other goalie in this game had a great game, by the way, too. I don't know if you know Katie.
She did.
Yeah.
She had an amazing game.
Yeah. Played really well.
And switch, Pugh stuck with it, 15. Barry on defense, no angle, Fish shuts it down and scoops up the ball.
That's Princeton defense at its best. They're really tightening up. They're giving Cornell such a hard time, and then to just have a
Love it. That's a little bit of that active outside the crease play that we talked about early in the conversation. So girl comes in. Now she's super low angle. What do you like to do on these low? I mean, she's almost outside the fan if I'm looking at that right. So super low angle. What do you like to do on those shots?
I'm just thinking, stay high. And at this point I'm on my pipe. But I'm also knowing that the only places she can go is my top left, and then also that backside potentially. So just being ready for those shots. And then when the rebound comes, you know, I saw the ball and I'm the first one seeing, I mean, usually in goalie, you're the first one seeing the ball hit the ground. So if you can just continue your momentum outwards and pick up that ground ball, that's a turnover you can get for your team. So.
Absolutely. And this is one area where the men's game actually is quite different than the women's game. So you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you cannot with a foot in the crease, like clamp the ball outside of the crease and bring it back in, correct?
You can't, no.
You can't,
you can't, if anyone's in the surrounding area, you can't cover the ball.
Yeah. Oh, so you can do it if no one's around you?
I think maybe, but sometimes it's a little bit fuzzy with that rule. It kind of depends on the refs.
Got it. But one thing, so then you'll see if you're going to go get it, like you have to leave the crease, and that's what you do. Like, you know, a lot of men's goalies, myself included, would probably get out there, keep one foot in the crease and just, you know, try and scoop it up. Cause once you got the ball foot in the crease, they can't touch you. But you go for it. And I love your attitude there of like, hey, this is a possession, right? And you win the possession, sprint out, you know, evade the defender, find an open, wide open defender, and bam. I mean, great play. I love that play.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So let's fast forward all the way. I mean, there's some great saves. This save edit's going to come out in a couple of days, but we go to the end of the game. Where are we at here? 15 seconds left. Princeton is up by 1. Like I said, this is a great game. Highly recommend watching it. Talk to me about this play, because this is just, I mean, this is insane. Ball goes out of bounds, 15 seconds.
Princeton.
Let's just watch it first.
There is chaos right now in the field. We're going to continue on. Cornell chance to tie it. Donahoe on the run. Saved by Fish. Loose ball. Fired over the top. Race to the end line. Cornell's got it.
I love these announcers, by the way. They did a great job. So talk to me through this play.
So at this point in the game, this game was definitely not one of my best games, and I had let a lot of goals in that I wish I had back. And so I'm just thinking to myself, you know, I just got to come up with a save for my team. And the girls running in, and same kind of thing as the first save that we watched. I had a feeling she was going low just by the way her stick was coming up, and she was barreling down the cage. So I knew that, like, in previous saves, I hadn't gotten down on the ball. So I actually fall to the ground on this one because I wanted to make sure it didn't squeak in under me. So I was just really trying to come up with a save for my team at the end, even if the rest of the game I hadn't necessarily helped them out in the way I wanted to.
Yeah, we had a handful of great saves throughout this game, but yeah, I mean, this is one of them right here. I mean, she's a little far out when you talk about, you know, in general, but this is a great save. Bam, right on it, and get down low. And like you said, a lot of guys goalies, you'll see them do that kind of flop to their butt, you know, just to get everything behind the ball. And that's what happens here. And then, you know, the wherewithal to kind of get back up and cover the goal. I mean, you know, she ends up shooting it over the goal, but certainly, like, she had to see you getting up and moving up high. And that certainly probably impacted, you know, her shot. Right? Yeah. I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, that was great. Thank you so much for going through that, Sam. And thank you so much for taking the last hour to chat through your goalie game. I got a couple more questions for
having
you.
Me.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you go with for the stick head? What's your setup, your stick setup?
I use the Eclipse 2, and I love it because has a great handhold, and I think it's very flexible and everything. And then for my stringing, I do 2 shooting strings across. And then just, I think 2 strings across the top.
Two straight nylons across, and then 2 U's.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit more like V's on mine.
Got it. Yeah.
I think they're really helpful for just accuracy and clears and everything.
Now, do you string up your sticks, or does someone else do it?
No, I have other people do it. I have not mastered the stringing trade yet.
Me neither. Me neither. You and me both. You and me both. I have all my sticks strung up by other. Did they need a shout out on Instagram, or they like to be low key?
I mean, I use different people, so it kind of depends.
Got it. All right. And then do you go with like a goalie length shaft or like a attack shaft?
I use an attack shaft. I think sometimes I've tried with a longer goalie shaft, and I think sometimes for me it had gotten in the way. So I like the shorter one.
Me too. I just feel so quick with the shorter one. And as long as you can do the outlet passes, I think, yeah, attack shafts the way to go. Love it. You're from San Diego, California. If I go to San Diego, California, and I've got some craving for some fish tacos, where do I need to go?
You know,
or
it's
Mexican
a chain,
food,
but
Mexican food in general could be.
yeah, so it's a chain, but I really love Rubio's Coastal Grill. It's awesome. They have some of the best fish tacos. There's also a few hole in the wall places that have some of the best Mexican food. There's a place in Coronado that's actually has a Mexican takeout part in the back of a diner. And so they have some of the best California burritos there. So I would definitely go there.
Love it. You just took your team, or I don't know if you took the team, but your team just went out to California to play San Diego State and USC. Did you make a stop there?
No, we didn't. We didn't end up going to Coronado, but we definitely, at one of our alumni's house, they had a street taco bar. So that was awesome. I finally got to show them our food in Southern California. So yeah, they were excited.
I'm hungry for some tacos now. Sam, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your experience. If you had to leave the goalies out there with one last piece of advice, what would that be?
I would say just stick with it. I know there's a lot of times it's tough being a goalie, and I think just continuing to remember why you love the game, and you know, pushing through those tough games and waiting to play those big ones. So very well said. Sam, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good to talk to you.